Alrighty, well, thanks, Lim. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you guys are joining us from here, the DoraHacks community. Thanks for tuning in. We're here today with a really, really cool workshop with Thunderbird here, and this is for the cross-chain summer hackathon with ChainFlip, with over $80,000 in Flip, Rune, Cacao, and Thor up for grabs. And we're here with the Thunderbird team, and they're going to get into it today with their workshop. They're going to tell you a little bit about Thunderbird and what they have going on. And I'm just going to hand it off to you guys. The floor is yours. If you have questions, drop them into the comments, and we'll address them kind of as we go.
Addison. Cool, sounds good. Thanks very much. Well, yeah, I'm Addison. I'm the founder of Thunderhead. Here with Tom, our product lead, and Ofek, our infra lead, and we're gonna demo Blockswap for you today, and then explain how it was constructed for you all. And so, if you're not already familiar, ChainFlip is a cross-chain DEX. ChainFlip is a 150 validator network that essentially maintains a very big multi-sig for an address that's on Bitcoin chain and an address that's on Ethereum chain. And what you can do with this is transfer funds to Ethereum, receive funds on Bitcoin, or vice versa. And so what we've done with Blockswap is use the ChainFlip SDK along with the ChainFlip broker to make a Telegram interface to interact with the ChainFlip chain and perform swaps fully trustlessly. So yeah, that's that. As far as Thunderhead, yeah, I explained the team. Basically what we do is we build liquid staking tokens. We're the everywhere LST. We're launching a liquid staking protocol everywhere. We most recently launched on ChainFlip, which is why we're here. We have 29% of the stake, 37% of the holders, 40% of the institutional wallets. I'll show you guys our front end very quickly. If you have some Flip, I'd recommend checking out the service. It's quite great. The community loves it a lot. So yeah, that's that. We built Blockswap just because like there was no Telegram interface. We figured that would be useful for everyone to have, and it has been. So we can open up the TG bot now. You open up the bot, you have a menu. We're going to go through like how the swapping process works. There's obviously a whole bunch of other features here that aren't really relevant to the ChainFlip chain, but are things you would see like in any kind of Telegram bot. So you click swap. You can select an asset to deposit. So you can deposit Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then Ethereum or USDC on Arbitrum, or Flip or USDT on either of those chains. So you can deposit, let's just say we're going to deposit ETH, and then say we want to deposit USDC, and you can just select an amount of assets you want to spend. Let me see if I have an address somewhere in my clipboard. So it'll give you a quote, deposit 1 ETH, receive 3,300 USDC, and then it tells you like where the fund's sending to, how long you have to perform this swap, and then you can like click confirm. And then what's happening now, which Tom will explain in greater detail when he gets to it, is that's sending a request to the ChainFlip chain to like give you a quote, and then to actually give you like a deposit address that the ChainFlip like validator network owns that you can deposit money into. And you can see like we can go to the actual ChainFlip block explorer, see that we created this deposit channel is what they're called, the generated deposit address. You can see this is our broker, Blockswap, Thunderhead. We charge a 50 basis point commission for facilitating the swap. I actually don't have any funds, so I can't actually perform the swap, but you'd transfer funds, and then it would just quickly send you back your USDC very quickly after that. So that is Blockswap, and I'm going to hand it over to Ofek, who will explain how, like, what exactly a broker is, because that's the kind of really the back end that's interacting with the ChainFlip chain that allows this whole thing to work, and then also all the best practices that we have around managing our infrastructure and deploying it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, and as far as the infrastructure goes, this is actually relatively simple. Thanks to the ChainFlip team, they have made this something that is really straightforward to set up, especially if you have set up like any validator or chain flip engine in the past, or even if you have just set up like a simple chain flip node. So when setting up a chain flip broker, essentially what you do is you set up a chain flip node and then another piece of infrastructure which is called the chain flip broker. Chain flip broker talks with the node and then essentially exposes the broker interface, which is what the application itself, what the bot is talking to, and what is facilitating all of this heavy lifting. And when we are talking about running a broker, we want to keep in mind the same best practices that we have when running any production infrastructure. So that means having enough firewalls and security in place to make sure that external intruders cannot access our server. And then we have, basically this goes on with the same thing as the security. So we have like internal networking. This is like an internal preference that we have. We don't want to expose and communicate over the public internet. So we're using internal networking to do that. And then obviously to have some kind of monitoring, like at the very least, like hardware monitoring. So you know if your CPU is clogged or if you don't have enough memory or if you're about to run out of disk, to make sure that your broker continues to run and doesn't just die unexpectedly. So that's like the general overview of the infrastructure. Addison, if you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so for the actual specifics of how to do this, there is, there are the chain flip docs. They're super detailed to show you how to install the broker. Essentially, you just add an apt repository, which is managed by Chainflip. Then you download 2 packages, one for the Chainflip broker API and then one for the Chainflip node. And then you have to generate a key. That key is essentially what you're going to fund, because your broker has like an account in Chainflip, which has to do operations, and this is where the commission goes into as well. So this is relatively straightforward as well. I don't think there is any need to go into the specific details. We can send a link to the docs at the end so we can follow it specifically, but this is relatively straightforward. Yep. And one important thing to mention is this is not obvious if you haven't run a validator on Chainflip in the past, but the broker will be in a crash loop until you're funding the account that the broker is using. So this is one thing to keep in mind. And let me see if I can take the share screen over just for a brief moment.
The account.
Yeah. Okay. So let me know if you can see my share screen, or maybe we need to swap it around. I just want to give you a small overview of how it actually looks in action. Okay, I think it's just showing your screen. Maybe you can stop your screen share, Addison, and then it will show mine.
Yeah, I did. Maybe I can remove myself. Actually, I don't know. If you want to send me the link, I can just pop that on my screen.
Yeah, okay. Now I think you're able to see. Okay, so basically, here we have like a very simple Linux server. And then inside here, we have the 2 packages that we installed. We have the Chainflip node, and then we have the Chainflip broker. Both of them are running by a systemd service. So for example, if I just write out systemctl status Chainflip node, we can see the Chainflip node is running. We can see the output of it, and so on and so forth. We can see that it's running for a while, right? Ever since the last broker upgrade. And then we have here the Chainflip broker API. which is another systemd service. Again, it doesn't have too much into it. Chainflip has done a really good job of making it super easy to run and maintain the broker. So this is relatively straightforward. But here you can see the Chainflip broker is talking to the Chainflip node, right, locally, and then it exposes itself, the interface of the broker, on this port, which we contact internally from the Chainflip SDK, which is used in the Telegram bot. Yeah, so that pretty much covers the infrastructure side of things.
Cool, sounds good. I will hop on back on screen share, I guess. Cool, so that's everything related to the broker. I got dropped out. I guess you went over this. Actually, did you share this part?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, in addition to the broker infrastructure itself, we also have the infrastructure in place for the Blockswap bot. Right. The Blockswap bot is a piece of software that has to run somewhere. It has to be managed, and so on and so forth. So this is actually relatively simple as well. We have the Node.js application, which we will cover in more detail once we move it over to Tom. But just Node.js application, we have containerized the application. We're running it on our containerized system, and then our deployment is automated. We believe in basically promoting the same software or the same image that we have across different environments. And this is another important thing to mention is it's best if you don't run just your broker on like Berghain mainnet immediately. It's best that you first test your stuff on testnet, like on the Perseverance network. So you have like a Perseverance broker, and then you have everything tested there. And then once you are sure that your broker works properly and your bot works properly, then you move it over to mainnet. And this is what we do here. We have a testnet version. We test there, we deploy there, and then once we're satisfied, we promote that same image, that same configuration, of course, modified slightly for mainnet. And that way we make sure that we tested what we're pushing to production and we are not just pushing it directly. And we have enforcements internally to make sure that we are not making any manual changes on the production environment, because if any of you has some experience with production environment, that usually leads to disaster. But yeah, that pretty much covers it. If you can go to the next slide. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty straightforward chart. Cool. I guess this is Tom. Do you want to go over this now?
Yeah. Do you want to go to? There's a slide before this, I think.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the kind of overarching architecture of the system, from a kind of front end point of view and back end. So in the middle, you have the actual Node.js Telegram application, which users interact with on Telegram. So they send the commands to this application and it responds back and executes certain logic, etc. And then off to the left, we have a MongoDB database. So when users join the app, they essentially have a record, so we can track their swaps and their Telegram ID. This is required to send them messages and things like this. We don't store any other information about them. And then the Telegram Node.js bot, which is developed with the Grammy framework. Grammy is kind of a nice wrapper around the Telegram API. It makes it really simple to develop Telegram bots and user experience. So that application essentially talks to the Chainflip SDK. That's something that Chainflip have published on NPM and the various package managers. And that gives you some useful functions, which we'll go through next, to interface with the Chainflip API. on the right, and then obviously you have the users interact with the Node.js application. And then, yeah, if we go to the next slide. Yeah, so this kind of covers what we use Chainflip's SDK from. So when you start up the Telegram bot, Addison showed you earlier, you get a choice of assets. In order to get the available assets, which you can trade on Chainflip, you call this get chains method, and then you call get assets off the back of that, and that gives you all the information about all the available blockchains and their respective assets. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Polkadot are currently supported, and USDC and USDT on Ethereum as well. So this gives you the range of assets you can trade, and then once the user has decided what they want to pay with and what they want to receive, they enter an input amount, and based off this input amount, we call get quote, and this basically goes and calls the Chainflip API and returns back a quote for the asset you're paying in and the destination asset you're going to receive on the various chains that you've selected, and gives you the exchange rate and any fees involved. So at this point, we display that to the user and ask them if they want to proceed with the swap. Once they click yes, we call this request deposit address method, and this goes off, talks to the API, opens a deposit channel, which is basically an address which all the validators control and watch. And when the funds that the user is paying in is sent to that address, the Chainflip network executes the swap with those funds, and the output tokens are sent to the destination address provided. That happens in the earlier step. So at this point, we store a transaction in the database against the Telegram user with their swap information, because they've initiated a swap, and we presume they're about to send funds. And then we just check this swap with the get status method, and we poll that regularly, and then we check for any status change. If we detect a status change, we inform the user. So the first status change is that their funds they're paying in have been received to the destination address, to the deposit address, sorry. And then the next status is the actual swap in progress, and then the final status is the actual swap's complete and the destination funds are being sent over to their address they provided. And these are really the only 4 or 5 core methods in the SDK that you need to be concerned about for simple swaps with the deposit address system that Chainflip provide.
Awesome. I'll hop to the next slide.
I think that's the last one.
Oh yeah, it looks like everything. Cool. Well, yeah, that outlines how Blockswap works. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat. Does not appear to be. So I guess we'll wrap this up. I'm not sure what the mods of this want to do, but that's everything. Thanks guys for coming. Thunderhead is hiring for all roles. So if this interests you, if liquid staking tokens interest you in any capacity, whether that's like BD, development, Twitter, being an intern, any of that is on board. Feel free to just DM me on Twitter at 0xaddy, which I'll paste in the chat as well. But yeah, that is everything. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All righty. Well, thank you for that, Team Thunderhead, for your really informative workshop. I'm sure the community, will get a lot out of this. But outside of that, remember everybody, the hackathon is still open until I believe August 1st. And then there's tons of opportunities there as well. And remember to engage with Thunderhead as well. Such a cool name. Where everybody have a wonderful day, and let's build some really cool stuff out there. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks guys.
Bye. Thanks, Trevor. Bye.